back on the island with Archie now.
Mm.
Do you remember how people were acting?
Happy?
Kinzo.
Happy? They were all like
Kinzo.
actually happy. And well, Kinzo was alive as well.
Is he alive or is he just happy?
Well, he was acting how like grandparents do act with their grandchildren, because I remember they gave him all of the gifts. And Angie was really confused because she remembered him as like this big, scary, like ominous monster.
So, I think we briefly touched on it, but do you think... Which is the true Kinzo, do you reckon?
I would like to believe that Kinzo was doting on his grandchildren, particularly Maria and Angie. That's what I would like to believe. I honestly don't know. It's been, like, it's really hard to say which is the true Kinzo when for, like, 7 games so far, it's been this, like, one shade of Kinzo character. He's honestly...
50 Shades of Kinzo.
No, he's probably a mix of both.
I think the assumption is that he is primarily as we have seen him in the past.
Okay.
And maybe there's a little bit of nice Kinzo in there somewhere, but I don't know, you still got like the whole he never talked to Natsuhi in his whole lifetime and stuff like that.
Did he really, like, never say a word to her?
There was a red truth. I can't remember if it was if he didn't... No, he would have spoken to her. I think he might not have looked at her or something. I don't know. Byrne used the red truth in regards to Kinzo and Natsuhi in the 5th game, I think. Because she was like, oh, he entrusted me with the honor of the Shirimia family and that kind of thing.
Mm.
And she was like, in red, she was like, no, he never did this. This is just your delusion, essentially.
Poor Natsuhi.
She just needs to be quiet a bit more, I think.
Oh my goodness.
The cousins walked along the beach, playing in all kinds of ways. They searched for bits of glass, polished by the waves to become small and gem-like. They caught up on the news of each other's lives and joked around. They wrote words in the sand. They chased the receding waves and ran away from the coming ones. The cousins enjoyed the time they had to themselves. Get back here, Maria. You won't get off easy this time.
No way, no way.
You'll get hurt if you fall. Be careful, you two.
Fall. Sorry. Feels like the wind's gotten stronger. Maybe we should head back soon.
You're right. I think the sky's getting cloudier too. Butler-kun, Maria-chan, I think we should call it a day soon and head back to the guest house for the time being.
Ooh, no way. I want to play more.
Hey, don't ignore your cousin. Okay, that's all for now. Here, I'll give you my glass gem.
Ooh, really? Thank you, Butler. Now I have the most, so I win. Ooh. Angie, are you okay? Yeah.
What's wrong, Angie? You look a little down. She's just tired out. Come on, let's all head back together. Archie's expression probably did look tired. However, Battler alone thought he saw something else in it. What's wrong? Can you tell me?
It's nothing.
She said that, but something in her expression showed that she was unsatisfied for some reason. Since Anji didn't say what it was, and Battler couldn't think of anything, he was unable to guess anymore. So he squeezed her small hand, silently letting her know that she could tell him whenever she was ready. Even though it had seemed like such a bright, sunny day a second ago, the sky turned grey and the wind started to feel more annoying than pleasant. If they waited around, they would probably see scattered raindrops as well soon.
I guess it'll be raining the whole time from now on. What a pain.
Still, even though it didn't last long, it was fun to be a kid again.
I can't wait to show Mama this glass gem. I'm gonna tell her I won.
Even though you only won because I gave you mine.
Ooh, I got it, so it's mine. So I won. Ooh.
Anji walked distractedly, pulled along by her brother. George and the others thought that she had probably woken up too early and was tired, so they didn't try to talk to her much. As they reached the end of the forested path, the rose garden lay before them. They could see strong winds making the rose bushes wave.
Mama, look! I won!
Maria ran forward, waving her hands about and yelling. It looked as though Rosa was waving to them from the front of the guest house.
I'm gonna head back to my room for a sec. I'll meet you in the cousin room right after.
Okay, got it. See you later, then. Jessica ran off in the direction of the mansion. George turned around, as though suggesting that they had better get going too. However, when he saw Anji standing still, with a crabby look on her face, he realized that something might have put her into a bad mood. Is everything okay? Yeah, she's fine. Sorry, but would you mind going on ahead of us? Sure, got it. See you later. George headed for the guest house. The only ones left in the rose garden were Battler, who was waving at George, and Anji, who was still staring at the ground and holding Battler's hand. For the past few minutes he had repeatedly asked Anji what was wrong. He realized that this wasn't anything like a stomachache or something obvious that had made her grumpy. However, young girls sometimes get upset for reasons that only they can understand. Battler knew this, so he didn't rush her in any way, and continued to gaze around the beautiful rose garden, holding her hand.
Oni-chan,
What is it?
where are we?
She asked the question as though she was talking about something on the other side of the silver screen. The Battler understood what that question meant. He played dumb. Where are we? We're in Rikenjima, right?
You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
How is this Rikenjima?
It's the Rikenjima of October 4th, 1986. The Rikenjima you've wanted to see for so long.
That's a lie.
Why do you say that?
This is totally fake!
Anji wrenched her hand from her brother's grip. That hand hit a rose and sent flower petals flying. I don't lie.
How is this supposed to be the truth?
Anji spat those words out. However, Battler's expression remained calm and composed. What don't you like about it?
Ushimi and Kinzo, for example. He wasn't anything like that, right?
What grandfather wouldn't smile when he's been reunited with his grandchildren after a long time?
Ushimi and Kinzo wasn't that kind of person. Ushimi and Kinzo was...
strict, discontented, short-tempered, and quick to anger.
So you do understand. What was all that back there? How was that supposed to be Ushirumi or Kinzo? Halloween? Exchanging presents? What the hell was that? That's nothing like Ushirumi or Kinzo. This is nothing like Rikenjima.
Don't you remember, Anji?
Remember what?
We did that every year, didn't we?
Every year? That?
Well, I guess it's no surprise. The last time you went to a family conference, you were less than 6 years old. So, it's only natural that you wouldn't remember.
It's only natural that I don't remember?
Anji understood what her brother was trying to say. However, she couldn't accept it. It's true that Ushirumi Kinzo was a rigid man. When he was younger, he really was strict with his kids, apparently. And, well, it's probably not wrong to say that it was pretty traumatic for Dad and the others, and that they're still a bit scared of him. The grand tale of how Kinzo restored the Ushirimiya family was more than enough to paint him as a rigid, terrifying man. Furthermore, Kinzo was an investor. All the legends and tales that made him seem more mysterious had probably worked in his business favor. At times, Kinzo may even have acted out this part people expected, endeavoring to make his presence all the more overpowering. That's why the world at large spoke of Ushirimiya Kinzo as a strict, short-tempered man. And they even thought of him as a fickle, bold, incomprehensible eccentric. But that was just the face of the grandfather that grandfather showed the world. That's not how he acted in private, alone with his family.
Are you saying that weeping old man who doted on his grandchildren is the real Ushirumi Kinzo?
He must have played with you and patted your head many times. Do you really not remember?
Stuff like that might have happened once or twice, but that must have been a mere whim of his. My parents told me all the time, grandfather is a terrifying person, so make sure you act properly. They always said that he's very scary, so take care. And that means he was a scary person.
When you were little, you would always accept whatever your parents said and take it too seriously. To put it nicely, you were obedient. But to put it bluntly, you were a kid with an overactive imagination. Dad and the others were just trying to make you realize how important it was to be polite.
I saw it though! I knew about it! I knew that Ushirumi Kinzo was a scary person. I've even seen him yelling in anger. I'll never forget it.
Well, like you just saw now, Grandfather could be a bit abrupt at times. He might just have been trying to surprise you, or it might have slipped out when he was having a serious discussion with his kids.
And you think I just got scared for no reason? I got the wrong idea? That can't be true! I mean, I still remember it. I know I saw Ushirumi or Kinzo yelling and being scary. Mom and Dad were terrified too, so I know I'm right.
The impression you had of Grandfather when you were young remained with you, and that impression grew inside you as you grew up. How many times did Anji see Kinzo in her life? How old was she the last time she saw him? Anji, who got sick easily when under pressure, couldn't have gone to Rikenjima often. And, since she was absent for the family conference when she was 6, her last memories of him must have come from when she was just 5 years old.
But even you haven't seen Ushirumi and Kinzo for 6 years.
That's right. But when I finally came back after 6 years, I saw that grandfather hadn't changed in the slightest.
Kinzo was fickle, so you could never understand what he was thinking. And he was an eccentric with a creepy love for the occult, and...
It's true that he had a love for the occult. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange hobby for him to get into in his final years. I'll admit that his hobby of collecting strange objects to scare his grandchildren and laugh at them wasn't exactly praiseworthy. Even Battler had been pranked by Kinzo in the past. He'd do things like showing off an attache... Was that attache?
Attache?
Case
Or
with,
it's attached.
I think
Maybe
attache.
attache?
That's what I was thinking. A case with 7 strange stakes in it. And say something about how they were once used in the Middle Ages to gouge the hearts of victims in a witch's ceremony. When Kinzo did things like that, it was pretty scary. But looking back on it now, they really were childish pranks. Grandfather only scared his grandchildren because he wanted to joke around with them. I'd be willing to bet that grandfather pulled a prank like that on you too. It's no surprise that, young as you were, he let that scare you and convince you that grandfather was a strange, terrifying person.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oni-chan.
Anji bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. She said she didn't understand, but in truth, she understood perfectly and was refusing to accept it. Remember how we traded Halloween presents in the parlor just now?
What was all that about? The Ushiyamiya family never did anything that sentimental.
It's almost as though you don't remember it at all.
Are you saying I got presents once too? I don't remember anything like that. That could never happen.
Do you really think that grandfather, a man who loved the occult and Western traditions, wouldn't celebrate Halloween? Grandfather's Happy Halloween was pretty much the standard greeting at our family conferences. He must have said it to you too. Youth can be so cruel. Even though grandfather put all his heart into choosing those presents, it looks like your heart didn't remember anything.
Are you saying that I was just too young to remember? And that was the truth of October 4th? On that day, just like 6 years before, grandfather entered the parlor with a cry of Happy Halloween! Then, he and I traded presents as he shed tears over our long-awaited reunion after a 6-year gap. Is this actually Anji?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Battle.
Yeah, I think so too.
Grandfather seemed so sad that Anji wasn't able to come. So he gave Kirie-san a present, telling her to make sure that Anji got it.
I never heard anything about a present like that. Well, of course, because it got blown up. Mum never gave it to me.
True. She never had the chance.
I don't believe it. I won't believe that was Ushirami and Kinzo. Then what about the family conference itself? Wasn't there a tense argument over the distribution of the inheritance?
Nice.
All of the adult siblings were in money trouble. That's why they all longed for Kinzo's inheritance money.
Anji, where did you hear that from?
What do you mean, where? It's the truth, isn't it?
Do you think Dad would talk to you about financial difficulties with his company when you were that age? And not just Dad, even if Uncle Kraus, Aunt Ava, and Aunt Rosa were in money trouble and wanted Kinzo's inheritance money, do you really think they'd talk about it in front of you?
But it's true, isn't it?
In the end, it was true. Anji's words were not mistaken. Not only Rudolph, but even Kraus, Hideyoshi, and Rosa had companies in money trouble. People started talking about the Rikenjima explosion accident as though it was some sort of conspiracy, and a mystery imagined by the public covered the land. Weekly magazines and television shows researched the circumstances of Kinzo's children at the time, and in the future where Anji lived, that research had been made public. You learned about all of that after 1986.
But it's a fact, isn't it? There's no difference between facts and the truth.
Does that prove that the inheritance created a strained atmosphere between the relatives on Rikenjima? I guess that might fit with your memory of your parents telling you to repeatedly to be extra polite at the family conference.
Are you saying that what I know about Rikenjima, what I know about the Ushiramiya family, is wrong? You're the one who's wrong, Oni-chan. There's no way something like that could be possible. I won't accept that that was Ushirami and Kinzo. I could never accept that.
So you don't believe, Anji?
I do believe in fairies. I do. That's right, I don't believe. I don't understand why you're showing me something like this. After all, this is your game. No, your game board, isn't it? First it was Beato and Burn. One witch after another has sneered at my fate, trying to make me surrender in their games. But I want the truth. Witch illusions won't work on me. Now I get it, you damn witches. You've sent Oni-chan as a final assassin to finish me off.
You're right. This is my game. So, of course, this is my tale. And I'm the one making it. That's why I'm able to add in what-if situations. Like what would happen if you came to the island too?
See? You made this tale. It's all a pack of lies. A fiction you created.
You're right. This is all a fiction I created.
See? You've admitted it. You have, haven't you? Just like I thought, this is all a lie you've made. Why are you lying to me? Why won't you tell me the truth?
Because there's something I need you to understand. Something more important than the truth.
Something more important than the truth? What the hell are you talking about?
The purpose of my game is to make you understand that. Just as Beato's games were made to make Battler believe in witches, Battler's game was made to show Anji something that was more important than the truth. Games never bring about their intended ends by force. After all, Beato's game could never be won for all eternity, unless Battler acknowledged witches on his own. Battler's game was the same. Battler couldn't win in this game, unless Anji acknowledged it herself. So, Battler had advanced this game just as Beato had done in the past. To believe it or not, to accept it or not, the decision lay solely in the hands of the opponent. The Hans. And so, Battler was trying to enshroud Anji with his own illusion.
I finally get it. This is a game between me and you, Oni-chan.
Anji, I'm not trying to challenge you to a game.
No, this is a game. I made a wish, hoping to learn the truth of October 4th, 1986. And so you invited me to this game, saying that you'd show me the truth. And now you're showing me this strange illusion, trying to make me believe that it's the truth. Well, too bad. I'm already used to dealing with witches. I can totally tell that you're trying to use that kind of face of yours to trick me.
Big Brother realized that no words of his would have any effect on his enraged little sister. So, he just quietly listened to Anji's words. But even so, Anji was dissatisfied.
I've had more than enough of this stupid farce. If you don't plan on telling me the truth, then end it all now. I'll find my own truth for myself. I won't rely on you. That's right. There never was anyone I could rely on anyway. I've always been all alone.
Sorry, I won't let you leave this game.
Ah, that's right. Unless the game master admits defeat, the game never ends, right?
That isn't what I meant. I'm just telling you to stay quiet and listen.
Oh, sure. I'll just stay quiet then. Even if a player isn't around, the pieces just move by themselves and the game moves forward. Isn't that how it works?
That's right. A player can step back and become an observer for a while if they want. And they can return and join in whenever they want to.
Then I'll do that. This is an endurance contest. I'll keep on going until you stop trying to cover up the truth. Something more important than the truth? I don't get it. How could anything like that exist?
It does, Anji. Whether my tale is the truth or not, the fact remains that you lost something precious on this island.
Dad, Mom, and you, Oni-chan. I lost my family and everything that mattered to me.
She spat out those words as though no further questioning would do any good, and looked away. Even as he watched this, Battler's expression remained gentle.
Just keep going however you'd like. Later, Oni-chan.
At least, make sure you watch the tale. Even just listening is enough.
If I feel like it. Later.
Anji's eyes clouded. Then, a particularly strong gust of wind blew by, sending her hair flying. The wind must have been carrying some dust with it. Anji's nose twitched, and she sneezed loudly.
Oni-chan!
What is it?
How long are we gonna stand here? The weather's all weird. Let's get back to the guest house.
Anji's eyes weren't cloudy anymore. However, the tone and atmosphere about those eyes seemed somehow different from before. In a matter typical of young girls, Anji signaled that she was too bored and wanted to go do something. This Anji was clearly a 6-year-old Anji. Good point. Then why don't you head back to the guest house now? I'm going to stay here.
Why? It'll start raining soon.
It won't be long now, so I'll wait here a bit longer.
You're waiting here? Who are you waiting for? What?
Then, to Anji's eyes, it looked as though the strong winds were carrying flakes of gold along with them. No, she had definitely seen something, but she wasn't able to describe what she had seen. So to her it had seemed like the flakes of gold dancing on the wind. So here you are. I've been waiting a while now. It was as though he was talking to the wind. Battler spoke to the empty rose garden. That can't be right.
right.
There you go.
After all, it was clear from his words that he was talking to someone right in front of him.
So Anji thought it must be someone that she alone couldn't see, and she rubbed her eyes. Then, when she opened her eyes wide, another large gust of wind blew past her. She shut her eyes immediately, and when she timidly opened them, from the other end of the rose garden, yes, from the path that led up from the harbour, a person appeared. To Anji, it looked as though she had appeared along with a cloud of gold flakes carried by the wind. You're late, Beato.
Am I? I'd call it early.
You should ride in the boat with us every now and then.
You mean grasp the handrail and scream alongside you?
Yeah, sure, let's scream. Fall, fall.
I see. How interesting. Yes, I suppose I did arrive too late.
The pair casually walked up to each other and hugged. It looked like a pair of friends being reunited after several years. Anji, surprised by this unfamiliar woman, looked for somewhere to hide. However, her eyes met Beato's, and she was unable to escape.
Oh, and you must be Anji.
She was shocked to hear this unfamiliar woman suddenly use her name.
Look, even she can be so cute when she's 6 years old. Oh, Oni-chan! Who was this person?
A friend of mine.
A friend? How could you say that? Oni-chan's friend?
And this is Beatrice. You've heard from grandfather, haven't you? About the golden witch who gave the Yashiromia family its gold?
Haven't I heard that before? The Golden Witch. Now I remember. That was the scary witch who would snatch you up and carry you off into the forest if you didn't listen to your parents or stayed up too late on Rekenjima. Mom said that on rainy nights, if you look out the window at the dark forest, you might see the witch looking back at you and get snatched away. Which must mean that I'm supposed to be wandering about in the cold rain, looking into each window to find kids staying up too late. How pathetic that would be.
Good point. Anji, your parents just made that story up to get you to go to bed on time. Beatrice doesn't do stuff like that.
Very well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Beatrice, the Golden Witch.
Or her grandchild, at least. Grandchild?
Grandchild? That grandchild part's a bit of a killjoy.
Well, it's true, isn't it? The person that grandfather got the gold from and called the Golden Witch was your grandmother, right?
I guess. The grandchild for the Golden Witch, am I? Ugh. Can't I get a better title than that? Is this person a witch?
Yep, she is. She's a guest who's been invited to the family conference today.
She isn't a scary witch? She's not going to take me away into the forest? Damn Rudolph and Kitty. Just what do they think they're telling this kid about me? I don't do things like that. I'll lodge a firm protest later.
She looked like a fiercely emotional person, but she wasn't at all what Anji had expected from the creepy Golden Witch to be like. She was very loud, overreacting to everything. Nothing at all like the witch Maria Onechan had talked about, who had lived for 1,000 years and had various servants from the demon world. She looked, well, like an energetic young woman, the kind Anji's mum might have gotten along great with. Her brother and the witch talked together happily like a pair of close friends. Dogs tend to not trust people they meet for the first time. However, people say that they calm down once they see that their owner is on good terms with the stranger. Surely, something similar to this was going on in Anji's heart.
So we're comparing Anji to a dog?
Good boy, good girl. Anji kept staring at this pushy, temperamental woman who called herself a witch, as she chatted happily with her brother.
What's this key for?
Beato noticed the gold key hanging from Anji's neck. Anji automatically and defensively grasped it. That's Anji's precious key. After hearing these vague words, the witch stared blankly for a second, but almost immediately she seemed to understand what he meant.
I see. Is that how it is?
I thought it'd be easy to understand if I made it clear what she's supposed to do.
Fear not, Anji. No one's going to steal your precious key.
Are you sure?
Of course. That key belongs to you, and the choice is yours. Butler and the rest of us are merely signposts to guide you on your path.
When her brother gave her the key, he had said that it was very important, so she had to take good care of it. Anji didn't have a clue what the key was for, but it looked like Beato did. However, just like her brother had done earlier, Beato only spoke in riddles. This irritated Anji, but for the time being the Golden Witch said that she didn't intend to steal the key, so Anji calmed down a little.
Do you know what this key is used for?
But of course. However, I cannot tell you.
Why not?
Because you must decide how to use that key for yourself.
The witch said the same thing as my brother. The pair nodded to each other, but it was all Greek to me. It felt like someone had laid out a riddle that everyone knew but me, and everyone was making fun of me.
You'll know soon enough. Don't waste time thinking about it.
Anji held the key tightly. Even if she didn't understand what it meant, it was her own key, and her big brother had told her to take good care of it. With her youthful suspicion, she was scared that the witch might ask her to hand it over, saying that she'd teach her how to use it. Of course, her thoughts showed up clearly on her face. The witch couldn't help but laugh at that honest expression.
Fear not, it is impossible for anyone to steal that key from you.
No one can steal it?
You might say that it has been imbued with magic to make it so. Any rate, fear not. Neither I nor Battler, nor anyone else on this island can steal that key from you.
Really?
Yeah, really. The magic won't let them. The key was hanging around her neck like an ordinary necklace. Anji could take it off right now if she wanted, and if an adult tried to use force, it seemed like it would be easy for them to take it away. However, both her brother and the witch said that it was protected by a magic that would stop anyone from stealing it.
Does magic really exist?
Even the 6-year-old Anji knew about the word magic. However, she also realized that real magic didn't exist, and that certain kinds of magic tricks were sometimes called magic. However, her brother and the witch were talking about magic itself. Yeah, magic exists.
Really?
Maria spoke of me often, did she not? She says that witches exist. As she often tells you that magic exists, correct?
True. Maria had talked about that many times. When they were just playing, Anji had believed her, more or less. However, Anji was, in some ways, sharp for her age, and when she heard Maria talking happily about magic, she sometimes thought that such a thing couldn't really exist.
Then show me.
Hmm.
Show me magic! Or I won't believe you.
Hold up a sec. Beato just arrived on the island, and she hasn't even gone to say hi to everyone at the mansion yet. Battler spoke as though he was trying to smooth something over. When she heard that, Anji became sure that magic didn't exist after all.
Magic is just a bunch of lies. I know.
Hey, stop that. You'll hurt Beate's feelings.
No, it's no problem. Anyone would say that upon meeting a witch. Normally I would ignore provocation from such a small child, but she is your little sister, after all. Why don't we give her a special showing?
Are you sure?
Of course I am. Watch carefully, Anji.
Okay.
Though Anji had challenged the witch, now that she was about to be shown magic, she looked a bit hesitant. She gulped, then she stared up at the witch's face. The witch held out her left hand, bringing it close to Anji's face. Then she slowly spread her fingers. Anji, thinking that she was about to be turned into a frog, shrank back. However, after waiting a while and grinding her teeth, she realized that nothing was happening, so the part of her that had been scared began to get angry.
Nothing's happening!
Don't jump to conclusions. I haven't used magic yet. See, look carefully at my palm. I'm not hiding anything, correct?
Oh, so that's what she's doing.
Now that she finally understood, Anji checked both sides of the witch's hand.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Watch closely. I'll make a fist, and then stretch out my index finger.
She stretched out her index finger and held it right in front of Anji's eyes. Anji, thinking that she'd lose the game if she took a step back, stood her ground and concentrated on the fingertip.
Watch the tip of my finger closely. Ready, it'll be fast.
The witch rapidly lifted her index finger high into the air, pointing at the heavens. Just as Anji looked up to see the finger raised high, it swung down as though trying to dodge her gaze. In that manner. Up, down, left, right, then left again. Anji, feeling as though she'd lose if she couldn't keep up with the fingertip, swung her face this way and that, looking serious. Ever since she was very young, Anji had hated to lose. She would take even the most trivial games seriously, determined not to lose to the adults. The witch's hand moved faster and faster. Anji didn't lose track of it. Then, the high-pointing finger was swung down all of a sudden. The index finger curled up again, and the hand was held in a simple fist. Could it be that something was going to come out of that hand? Anji, who had suspected that this might happen, had followed the finger very closely. There was no way that once empty hand could have grabbed anything.
Ready, I'm going to open my hand.
The witch slowly opened her right fist, and there...
What? How? How done?
The witch gave the cutely wrapped candy to Anji as a present. Anji took it and was desperately searched for some kind of trick on it, but it was just an everyday ordinary candy.
How? That was a trick, wasn't it, Oni-chan? Oni-chan!
Nope, that was magic. You were watching the whole time, weren't you?
Since I was watching the whole time, how did it happen?
Anji didn't like it, but she was unable to see how that could have been anything other than magic. As the little sister furrowed her brow and bit her lower lip, her brother gently told her again that it was magic.
It's about time for me to head to the mansion to pay my respects. You should come along, Battler. I'll suffocate if I have to go alone.
You sure? Then I'll join you. What about you, Anji? Will you go back to the guest house?
I want to stay with you, Oni-chan.
She still couldn't accept it. However, could it really be? She still looked grumpy, but it looked like she was getting interested in this witch.
Then let us go. The Golden Witch returns.
The Cauldron Witch's grandchild returns, you mean?
We really need to do something about that name.
The big brother and the witch really did seem close. With kindred spirits like a pair of comedians, they started walking. Anji held onto the corner of her brother's sleeve, trying to make sure he didn't forget about her. And that's it.
That didn't feel very long.
It wasn't that long. So how's that for magic, huh?
Child's play.
Child's play, you say? How was it done then?
She could have had it in her hand or in her sleeve. Sleight of hand.
It's, if you were paying attention, it's very simple.
Oh, really? Tell me.
Why would I tell you? That takes
You
the fun
said
out of
it's
it.
simple.
It is. I did it on our nephew once.
Did you really?
Yep.
What was his reaction?
Yeah, he was like, whoa.
Tell me the witch's secrets, Ducky.
You'll have to rewatch it and find out. You have to pay attention to, like, the actual words themselves.
Where it's like up, down, right, left, up, down, right, left?
Just the sequence. You might. It's 2 points you need to be paying attention for.
Oh, when the hand goes down.
No, it's simpler than that. It's very simple.
The hand goes down? Wait, what?
Anyways.
No, let's go back. Go back right now.
I don't know to even go back that far. Let's have a look. Yeah,
We'll
that's as far
learn
back
how
as
to
we
do
can go.
magic.
I want to say, but I don't want to say. If I say it, you'll just be like, oh, that's so lame.
Yeah, I want to know what the lameness is.
No.
Is it going to be like it's in the sleeve and it comes out, or she like when the
No,
hand
it's
goes
not even
down,
like
it's
that.
in the pocket?
It's not even that.
It was already in the hand to begin with?
This is like... It's almost word games because we're reading it. In reality, it's like... To be honest, I'm surprised it even worked on my nephew.
Really?
Yeah.
How old was he? When did you do this?
I think I've done it a couple times, like maybe 1 year ago, maybe.
Did he like grab your hand and try and like see where it came from?
He just smiled and he was like, ugh, candy.
The appropriate reaction from a child.
Yeah. But maybe we'll find out how to do it later on.
Really? So it's
Perhaps.
pretty much, don't care where it comes from, I just want the chocolate.
Yeah.
Give to me chocolate.
Well, I mean, the process is... The whole point is, like... The mystery behind it. For, like, a young mind.
Mm.
It's not just, like, oh, I got given a chocolate. It's like, oh, this is special chocolate because it was given to me through magic.
Yeah.
It has a bit of a different
Yeah, I get that.
meaning.
I remember when I was like walking through the shopping district in Japan where I was living, and they have like a few street performers that you would see around, and there was this one like street magician or street illusionist, and he would do this trick where he would get like someone's phone from the audience, and he would like get a balloon, and then he'd push it in and like push the phone into the balloon, and like make it disappear, and then like he'd get it back out. But because of the angle from where I was standing, I could see how he did the trick.
Yeah.
And was like, okay. I
I've seen
think
that a few times too.
the most like magical and fantastical thing he did for me at the time was being able to coordinate, because everything went with music, and he had like the music was controlled by this watch on his wrist, and I was just like, oh, like doing all this stuff and like pressing the buttons to like make the music change and stuff. I was like, oh, that's like pretty clever.
It's all about the act and the performance.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times I've seen like street magicians as well, and like because you're just walking past, you'll like happen to be behind them or something, you'll notice like the ball like hidden behind their wrist or something like that. It's just like, it's like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough.
But I guess, yeah, some things like that are just extra magical to kids.
It's entertainment
Yes.
in mystery. Has you thinking past the performance. It's just a nice memory for people. But that's just one of the interpretations of magic, I guess. What kind of magic we're talking about here? I don't know. Could be golden butterflies, demon sacrifices, who knows. Reviving the dead.
Chocolate apparitions.
Chocolate apparitions. The chocolate ghosts. Did you also notice they mentioned the stakes as well?
Yeah, I did notice that,
Yeah.
actually. I thought that was interesting. But it kind of makes sense as well, like, now we kind of know where the origin of the stakes comes from, is that... I actually had forgotten that, because they talk about Kinzo having his love of the occult, and it just makes you feel like he's, like, brewing potions and casting dark magic in his office.
He was. All that alcohol he was brewing.
But something that I think I had lost track of and sight of as we progressed through this is that really, I guess the reality was that Kinzo was a collector. And I know they mentioned that, but I just had forgotten that part. Like, he's a collector. He collects things of the occult. So it's not so much about doing some, like, weird, I don't know, scary blood sacrifices or stuff. It was like he collected them.
He was a collector in that sense. Like, he did collect, and like even the witch hunters were like, oh yes, his collection was grand, and like he had so much stuff. But at the same time, there was that reason behind it initially, which was like, I'd do anything to bring back like Beatrice.
Yeah. I think I don't know if this is a thing or it's just been my experience dealing with like the incredibly wealthy in life. But I've noticed what I have observed is they, like, the people who are like mega CEOs and stuff and have lots and lots of money, they do tend to be like they do tend to like collecting things. I think it's not so much, I think owning it is part of it, but it's also like the hunt and the search for like those rare items or those things that you're looking for. I guess kind of like figures and stuff too, but
I mean, it's like with cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards, whatever.
Just on a totally different scale. It might be like artwork or I don't know, like rare vinyls.
There is that feeling of owning something rare. I get that when I think
I think part of it is like the hunt though. And when
Yeah, I'm sure there's
when you're
part of it for some
incredibly
people.
wealthy like that, and you don't mind too much the cost of what you're paying for, it's like the search.
Yeah.
I think is the thrill. I could be
So I'm
completely wrong, but
No, I'm sure that there are at least some people are like that. Like personally, I understand like just the feeling of owning something valuable that not many people have. It's I don't know. But I don't know. Just a random thought. I was just thinking like, because I was going through my drawers trying to clean it out, and like all these old model bikes and cars that Dad
yeah, Mum and
had.
Dad used to get like these
Yeah.
things that were like they'll be collectible, but they're so torn up and scratched now.
Well, like they're still in the packaging and stuff, and like
Oh,
I looked them
yeah,
up, and they're like
yeah.
$50 each, pretty much. It's like some people will hold on to these things, like they'll hold on to their Charizard cars and be like, "This thing will go up in value. I swear it's gonna go up in value later." But at the same time, the people who like grew up with those things and have that nostalgic value are like at that age now, where if they were going to spend money on it, they would do it now rather than later.
Yeah.
So I feel like these things, well, they might hold nostalgic value and they might have some rarity to them. They're not going to be that valuable as time goes on, because the people who like grew up with them and want them again are just going to like stop existing because they're going to grow old and die. That's just how it is. And then like someone's going to be sitting on all these old collectible toys and just like, well, no one else wants them because they don't even know what they are exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of like when we moved as kids, and like the building that how do I the building like that they like moved to work in, it had like, as part of like changing businesses, they inherited like boxes and boxes of what was it, like Dark Phantom comics, something like that, which I remember them being like, oh, maybe it'll be worth it. It's worth nothing. I'm pretty sure it's worth nothing. But I don't know what happened to them. They kind of just...
Like the Phantom is in the purple dude?
Yeah. They had tons of those.
I think I remember seeing one.
You might have been a little bit too young to remember, but I used to spend a lot of time in that room, like after school. So I just look at them. But to be honest, they didn't interest me that much as a kid.
Was this the place that was like very leafy?
No, this was the place before that one.
Before that one?
Yeah, this was the original place.
I still feel like it's the one I'm thinking of.
I know the one you're thinking of. I'm pretty sure it had like a back end, and there was like a tree in the back and gardens and stuff.
It had a very distinct smell.
Yes, you know what? I always associate it with like, it had a smell, but also the smell of pizza, like Hawaiian pizza, because there was this one place that Mum and Dad used to like buying pizza from, and I remember
You're just
liking
corrupting
it.
my memories right now. Now
But
the smell of pizza's coming into my head. When
It's like, it's that. Do you remember it though? That specific like
no, I haven't.
shredded ham.
My smell was just of, I think, just the leaves, like the
ones
dead
that
leaves.
there was
piled
like
up.
the leaves, and then they had the seeds where like if you dropped it from high, it sort of span around
Don't.
like a little
remember.
helicopter seeds.
No, all I remember is the smell and like the leaves.
It always felt so exciting going out the back because it was so old,
Yeah,
and you were like,
it was
what is this going to
mysterious.
uncover? Will we find a witch? Will we find fairies?
Or a
Who
bear.
knows? The door to Narnia.
Oh, I remember. I don't know whose it was, but one of the piano teachers we had. Like, it was your first piano teacher. I think.
Yeah, our first piano
And they had
teacher
that-
had like ivy covered walls
Yeah.
and
I think someone said there was a bear in there. Might have been the sister. And so I was always looking into like this like it was just like a black hole behind the bushes. All you could see was darkness. And I was like, oh, there's a
Yeah.
bearing there.
It was very I don't know. Would you say it's like old English style or old Victorian style? Like
I don't remember the house. I just remember that.
it's kind of cottagey,
Yard
but it was
bush.
like covered in vines. I think it was like ivy. It wasn't poisonous because we would touch and play with it all the time. It was some kind of like viney plant. It was very nice.
Yeah, I just remember it smelled like Hawaiian pizza.
The piano teachers.
I don't know what it smelled like.
I remember the air conditioning unit had like, it was this big thing that the teacher would roll out, and you filled it up with iced water, and then there was like a fan behind it, and it would like sort of blow. I don't know how it worked. It would sort of like blow through the ice or the water to like make things cool, because air conditioning units were not really a thing people had in their houses unless they were incredibly wealthy.
This is a new invention, I think. Never heard of this.
Air conditioning.
An ice fan.
She used to like have to put water in it halfway through lessons sometimes.
Well, yeah, I imagine because you want the air to like be cold, not the system itself, I guess.
Sometimes I'm like, we need to bring back the ice fan. If I just get a pedestal fan and then stick like ice blocks or something in front of it,
Well, I feel like it'd be nice,
cold?
but at the same time, it would probably cause a lot of mold and stuff.
Maybe. So where we lived was incredibly dry. So I'm wondering if that's why maybe mold was not an issue. Like where we are now, it's the climate just is mold's favorite thing.
This is why I want a time machine, so I can escape the heat.
You don't need a time machine to escape the heat. You can just test teleport. Become a teleporter, not a time traveler. Although you do like your time travel.
Time travel is the best choice for superpowers.
I don't know. There's some things I would just rather not relive in life. Too cringy.
I would relive my cringe moments and make them 10 times cringier.
Oh my goodness! That sounds horrible!
It'd be fun. Alright. Random tangent over. Let's continue on.